we are talking about a plasma therapy which is doing. And then when this antigen comes in our body, this virus is behaving virtually differently. This virus is behaving like a virus. In 80% of cases, it becomes all right. In some cases, it is behaving like HIV. So it reduces CD4 cell count. It reduces lymphocytes. Therefore, ashwagandha has a role there. It has a CD4 count effect. Therefore, if that complication comes where the person has fever and his CD4 cell counts is low, ashwagandha can be effective in that particular situation. Then this is causing hyperimmune inflammation, rising ESR, CRP, and ferritin, because it has a anti-inflammatory effect, a TNF blocker-like effect, an IL-6 inhibitor-like effect. Therefore, it will have effect and those complications also. This is also causing, COVID is also causing thromboinflammation, that inflammation-induced thrombosis with rise in D-dimer and fibrinogen. Therefore, if we add aspirin-like drug, which is piyaj or lasan, it will definitely potentiate its action. It is also causing cellular hypoxia. For that, we need an oxygen. Ashwagandha cannot give you an oxygen, but you can sit in that garden where ashwagandha is, then you may get some natural oxygen, but not an artificial oxygen. And it is causing cytokine crisis, which means there is acute rise in immune system in the body, which is equivalent to that when your own security, while killing the dacoits, also kill people living in that particular house, is a cytokine crisis. Therefore, ashwagandha, you should be able to, ashwagandha means ashwagandha property like herbs. Ashwagandha is one of them. We should be able to prevent because this is bitter and it is drying. With that, if we add turmeric, it becomes more astringent, anti-inflammatory, and by adding into it anything which is a anti-platelet agent, I think we should be able to work on all aspects of all complications of COVID. So therefore, worth trying, worth taking it, and there a lot of people started talking about ashwagandha in last couple of weeks. So I think a systemic study should be done, and it can be a game changer in the whole world. Dr. Chopra. You have to unmute yourself.
Arvind, you have to unmute, Arvind. You have to unmute.
Arvind ji, you are absolutely asymptomatic. Kindly become symptomatic in COVID language.
Thank you very much. I think when I became unmute, I lost my image. So I said both back. So thank you very much. I think you heard elegant narration. I just want to make a few comments, maybe if nothing else, but to assure my friends, both in the community and elsewhere, the large majority of people who contract SARS-CoV-2 infection are going to recover completely. Many of them are asymptomatic, but they can spread the virus. I think what's important to remember from my immunology concept is that most of the patients or those who suffer from COVID-19, they will only have the invasive phase of the virus. That is the virus invasion. The initial part of COVID-19 is like any other viral illness, which you need innate immunity that Dr. Agarwal referred to. You need gamma interferon kind of a outburst to fight the virus, and you need an initial immune antibody response. It's only in a very few patients. We don't know why. Why do few patients, maybe less than 20%, progress to so-called moderately severe stage, a bad pneumonia, and multi-organ dysfunction with thromboembolic phenomenon? That's the stage perhaps where the immune system, which is supposed to protect us, which is doing its job, suddenly becomes exuberant, disorganized, chaotic. And that's what we were talking about, cytokine storm. That is where, right in the beginning, Dr. Agarwal sir made a very provocative statement that it's like an acute autoimmune disorder. The acute autoimmune disorder perhaps comes into play in a small number of patients when they actually go beyond the so-called control of the viral invasive phase. It's in that particular time period where the body is flooded with cytokines, where all the cells are hyperregulated, where both CD8 counts go up. There are many abnormalities which I won't talk about, but that's where the immunology plays a big role. How to calm down the immune system, how to sort of calm down the cytokines. So my next comment is that ashwagandha is likely to behave differently in a pre-exposure situation and differently in a post-exposure situation. I've been often asked that if ashwagandha is an immune-enhancing drug, doctors should be use it when patients of COVID-19 become severe, because that's a situation in severe where everything is burning. The entire immune regulation has gone haywire. That is where I think what Bhushan said, where there's a lot of data to show that basically ashwagandha is not simply an immune enhancer. For some interesting reasons for which we do not have enough data, is the immune modulator. It can take up the Th1, it can take down the Th1, work on Th2. So a lot of data from different sources telling us that it can douse the fire, whether we are dealing with acute infectious stage or a post-infectious stage or an autoimmune disorder like rheumatoid arthritis. I presented my data. Now, COVID-19 and rheumatoid arthritis are very, very different disorders. It's only that immune dysregulation where you need immunomodulators, where rheumatoid arthritis comes to play. There's so many drugs which are using for rheumatoid arthritis like hydroxychloroquine, tocilizumab, JAK2 inhibitors, so many of them which are being tried in that small percentage of patients of COVID-19 who become severe on the premise that we need to dampen the immune response. So in this background, there's no doubt that ashwagandha has a very critical role to evaluate. We still need a lot of data. We need data. There is some very recent data, very soft data I would call, from in silico studies by elegant experiments saying that ashwagandha could be antiviral. Ashwagandha perhaps may even block the docking of the virus to the ACE receptor. But all this has to be seen. At the moment, I think ashwagandha is a great drug to work on the immune system, immune enhancer, immune modulator, immune suppressant. As you heard, it can be anti-tumor. So let me stop here by saying, yes, we need to do studies, and I'm very glad to share with you at this point of time. Bhushan and myself, we are involved with the Ministry of Ayush, along with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, CSR, with technical support from CSR. We have planned, designed, in fact, the studies have begun looking at the role of ashwagandha as a prophylactic agent in high-risk individuals of COVID-19. Also, other people like positive, also healthy contacts of COVID-19. There are many different sort of populations where ashwagandha is going to be used. We have already begun the studies in more than now, I think 15 centers, Girish. There are 15 centers. Dr. Girish is sitting with me, my co-author, who is Ayurvedic of eminence. So yes, we are going to look at ashwagandha over a 3-month period. We are not only going to look on ashwagandha's protective effect, not only at pre-exposure, post-exposure, something like antiviral. It's not really antiviral at the moment, though we are comparing with hydroxychloroquine in a randomized study as well. What we need to also look is that many of these people who work in COVID-19 management are doctors, nurses. They work in very stressful environment. They suffer from many physical and mental problems because of the nature of the work. So in this 3 months, we also want to show that ashwagandha not only will protect them from COVID-19, but will also promote health, will also affect their mind in a positive manner, will increase their fitness, will also look at other issues that are important for daily health. So those are studies for ashwagandha. I need not go into the treatment studies where many Ayurvedic formulations are tried. We have got an add-on kind of a protocol where the role of Ayurvedic drugs along with standard of care versus standard care is being looked on 3 months. So I hope that after about 5 to 6 months, these are bad times, desperate times requiring desperate measures. As Dr. Agarwal and Bhushan both said, it's a great opportunity. I know this opportunity. I think Ayurveda deserves to be in the forefront of research. Research is an important part of epidemic. And after 5-6 months, hopefully, we'll come back with many answers on the role of ashwagandha and other Ayurvedic combinations in both the prophylaxis and treatment of COVID-19.
Thank you. I'll wish up some questions which are coming. Is it safe for all age groups? Ashwagandha, I'm doing rapid fire. Please, anybody can answer because I'm reading the questions. I'm in the frame from the computer, but I'm not being able to see your reactions. Can ashwagandha be given in pregnancy?
Yes.
Yes. Is ashwagandha can be given to all ages?
Yes.
Yes.
Does it enhance cell-mediated immunity? He has already spoken about CD count.
Yes.
Can it be
Vishnu sir.
used as an anti-COVID agent? Yes. Can asymptomatic patients spread virus to other people? Yes. Is India at peak? The various sections are in different phases. Delhi and Bombay are going to peak first. Then mode of action of ashwagandha in immunity compromised person.
We have not used it in immunocompromised states like HIV, for example, or on severe immunosuppression, but we can extrapolate evidence from rheumatoid arthritis disorder, sir, where there is a certain amount of immune suppression. But I don't have hardcore data to answer that question. I think it can be used.
So so ashwagandha. See, basically there was a time when we used to talk about Chyawanprash. I'm talking about long time back. In Chyawanprash, we used to say that, for example, when to give a chemotherapy, and we said chemotherapy should not be given at a time when there is a vata period in the body, because at that time normal cells are also multiplying, and if you give chemotherapy at that time, it will also kill the normal cells. So therefore, we also always used to say give the chemotherapy at a kapha time, which is 6 to 10 in the morning and 6 to 10 in the evening, when your normal cells are less multiplying. And at that particular moment, if you give a chemotherapy, there will be less cell damage. So similarly, there is an adjunct use of, and their role of this Chyawanprash came, that if you give Chyawanprash, the toxicity becomes less. So therefore, there is a lot of scope of using herbal drugs as an adjuvant to reduce the dose of antibiotics, duration of antibiotics, toxicity of antibiotics, etc., etc., etc. So even if you can,
Dr. Agarwal, we have shown that in a model wherein we actually create immunosuppression by giving drugs like cyclophosphamide, ashwagandha is able to recover the myelotoxicity which happens due to cytotoxic drugs. We are able to counter that with ashwagandha. We have enough data. Lot of data has been done with cyclophosphamide immune suppression model. So myelosuppression countering that. So the answer to your earlier question is yes, definitely it can be used.
So let us forget about ashwagandha only as an Indian ginseng, because when you use, most of the people think that ashwagandha means ghoda, means power, means sexual health. That's how it is more promoted in the community, that if you need sexual potency like a ghoda, you use ashwagandha. That's what, because they say that the smell of ghoda is for his mating. Therefore, this drug basically helps you in mating, and it increases your sexual power. And therefore, ginseng was popularized as a sexual medicine. So therefore, they started using, this is an Indian ginseng. But now the time is in the COVID era, because there is only one drug which has a 100% awareness in every house today, and that is called hydroxychloroquine. So therefore, just to make it powerful and popular all over the world, we should say this is Indian hydroxychloroquine, because you are comparing it with hydroxychloroquine. It is a replacement of hydroxychloroquine, or it can be add-on to hydroxychloroquine, maybe, that you may get a better effect, because both of them are being used prophylactically. Both of them are being used for anti-inflammatory action. Some studies are showing that hydroxychloroquine is not working because they are not taking cases with inflammation there. So you will have to see which
mechanism. Hydroxychloroquine. Sorry, sir. It is safer than hydroxychloroquine, and the evidence for hydroxychloroquine
has to be safer. But I'm trying to say that you can even combine them if you want. I said chloroquine doesn't mean only a modern medicine chloroquine. We have a Cinchona plant in Ayurveda, the origin of that. So if you can, I will say that it is better than Cinchona even. Then I am talking Ayurveda to Ayurveda, because the hydroxychloroquine is nothing but a refined form of Cinchona plant. Cinchona plant is also available in homeopathy. I've seen all the questions. It's very impossible to see. There are 400 questions which we have come.
My God.
So I have seen most of the questions covers covered what we have spoken, and let me see if I can get few more questions if I find out. In the meantime, how is ashwagandha different and more effective than other modulators?